What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Now, the horror show at Extreme Rules is over, but there are lots of fallout on what happened behind the scenes. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including United States Champion Apollo Crews has COVID, a last-minute change by Vince McMahon at Extreme Rules, Rey Mysterio's contract status, a WWE Superstars final show tonight, Ric Flair's frustration with WWE, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into the first story. As we look at McMahon's last-minute move to alter the Asuka vs. Banks finish. Now, fans who tuned into Extreme Rules are still wondering what happened to the finish that saw Asuka accidentally spray the referee with green mist, incapacitating him and allowing Bayley to bash Asuka with the championship belt. Now, that situation isn't too far-fetched for wrestling, but what happened next is Bayley ripped off the referee's striped shirt and made the count on Asuka, giving Banks the Raw Women's Championship. But this finish wasn't the original plan, as according to Dave Meltzer, the original finish for Asuka was to retain over the Boss, but Vince McMahon worked his last-minute magic, concocting the far-out finish. As you might imagine, the WWE did the finish in order to get people to tune into Raw and see what's going on. Whether this works or not should prove interesting, but Raw has an unsanctioned match between The Big Show and Randy Orton scheduled for the 20th July Raw, and this too is being seen as a move to boost the show's faltering viewership numbers, as they did a record low last week. What also might get viewers to tune into Raw tonight is Apollo Crews not being able to compete last night, and it's been confirmed he has COVID. Now, the scheduled Apollo Crews vs MVP match for Crews United States Championship didn't take place, with the fans being told Crews failed his pre-match physical, presumably due to the beatdown inflicted on him by Bobby Lashley a couple of weeks back. However, during the show, fans wondered what the real reason was, as MVP claimed the title for himself, asserting himself as the winner by forfeit. Now, originally, PW Insider reported that this was due to COVID-related issues, but they didn't mention whether he was positive or not. But then Dave Meltzer confirmed that Crews is currently out of action following a positive coronavirus test. Now, we wonder how this will play on Raw tonight, as Crews will have to be off Raw for at least 2 weeks in order to quarantine. So, will they make MVP the official champion? Or will they just reschedule this match for a Raw down the line? Next up, a WWE Superstars final Raw tonight. Yeah, it's been confirmed in the past that Kairi Sane is now going back to Japan to pursue other things and be close to her husband. Now, there were rumors that she wouldn't show up on Raw and that her final appearance was going to be against Nia Jax when she was legitimately injured, writing her off for television for good. However, she did return on last week's episode of Raw. But tonight's episode of Raw will be her final date, as according to PW Insider, Sane is finishing up her run on good terms, having made the choice to return to live in Japan full-time as she was married early this year. Sane will remain part of WWE's extended family, but the episodes being taped today will be her last as part of this run. This unfortunately means that we won't get that dream match between Asuka vs Kairi Sane that most of us wanted for SummerSlam. Hopefully this is just going to be temporary for Kairi Sane and she will return down the line. Next up is Ric Flair unhappy with his WWE role. Now, the Nature Boy Ric Flair surprised fans when he turned heel, betraying Christian and helping Randy Orton polish off Captain Charisma in an unsanctioned match. Now, Flair seems to be serving as an official advisor to the Legend Killer, and he's cut a number of promos. Not that Orton needs any help in the promo department. However, during his appearance on Busted Open Radio, Flair expressed his frustration with the promo process in the WWE. He mentioned, "Can I just get in character one time? Just talking generically is killing me. You have to practice, you get overwhelmed with the points you have to make in terms of the pay-per-view and the people and all that. I've always struggled with that, but it's so fun for me." Flair also said during the interview that he wants to pursue the 24/7 Championship, one of the very few WWE titles he's never held. Next up, people wished Kayla Braxton would die from the virus. A backstage interviewer Kayla Braxton had a rough go of it with the coronavirus, coming down with it on 2 separate occasions. While her courage and transparency about having it won admiration from fans and wrestlers alike, some trolls on social media decided to make some obnoxious remarks about her. Kayla updated her fans on social media about her battles against COVID and more. "Last night, you were all tweeting super insensitive things regarding my health. A couple of you even said that I thought I'd died, and maybe that would have been for the best. Guys, this isn't okay. When I said don't be stupid like me, I meant don't make the mistake of thinking you can't test positive twice. I did everything I could, and this can happen to you. Moral of the story is, stop bullying people online, especially for something that concerns health. It's so gross and you should be embarrassed. Let's all be better. This is a hard time for everyone and we're all experiencing a state of the world we've never experienced before. Build each other up, help people, just be good to people. And to all of you who have lent your support, I've seen you and I thank you. We need more people like you. Now unfortunately, there's always going to be trolls on social media and being in the public eye only seems to encourage them even more. Thankfully, Kayla has used her coronavirus case to educate people to the dangers of becoming infected more than once. Next up, are we going to see the return of Mustafa Ali? Now, Ringside News is reporting that Mustafa Ali is scheduled to be back at WWE's television tapings tomorrow after Extreme Rules. It wasn't noted which episode he'll appear on, as the company generally tapes multiple weeks at a time. You may recall Ali was quietly moved from SmackDown to Raw after he requested a chance to work with Paul Heyman, who was pushing younger talent on the Red brand. That all changed after Heyman's release from creative, and Ali's current status other than a return remains unclear, especially if he has anything to do with the Hacker storyline. And Mustafa Ali is a popular superstar whom WWE had failed to push following his 2019 injury that sidelined him from the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, leading to Kofi Kingston replacing him and creating the fan-driven phenomenon known as Kofi Mania. Ali has the skills and charisma to succeed, but like many superstars, he's lacking that all-important push. Next up, we've got some AEW news as we look at the original plans for Orange Cassidy's attack on the Inner Circle. Now, despite dropping a match to Chris Jericho at Fyter Fest, Orange Cassidy continues to challenge the Inner Circle as seen on the 15th July Dynamite when he soaked the bubbly bunch with a deluge of orange juice. As funny or as silly depending on your wrestling sensibilities are, Chris Jericho wanted to kick it old school and revisit an Attitude Era angle. Speaking on his Saturday Night Live special YouTube feature, Le Champion noted, "I originally wanted Orange to come into the venue in an orange juice truck, kinda like Kurt Angle did with the milk truck or whatever it may be. But if you see at Daily's Place, wherever they have cars come in, Cody tried to drive it in that one time and now they have FTR driving. And you can only get to a certain area and then you have to stop, so you can get a whole orange juice truck even if there is such a thing. But I'm sure we could have made one and he would have sprayed orange juice on us. Would you have preferred it that way or the way they did it on AEW in a bloodbath style? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, did WWE release wrestlers who complained about Saudi Arabia? Now, the WWE released a number of superstars on 15th April, presumably for financial reasons, but now allegations are surfacing that some wrestlers may have been fired for complaining about the 2019 Crown Jewel Supercard in Saudi Arabia that led to many wrestlers and staff being stuck, and some claim being held hostage there. During an episode of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted some of the released wrestlers were all the people that complained about money or had not signed the first deal, but also guys who had given the company bad publicity over Saudi Arabia, which was Rusev and Carl Anderson and Joe Hennig, I think. The other one was Andrade, but Andrade is in the Flair family, so he was safe. There was a lot of bitterness because WWE sees it one way. The reason that there was a problem with Saudi Arabia is because guys said there was a problem and everything, and that's all those tweets out there which WWE couldn't deny, and it led to this lawsuit as a matter of fact. Now, the WWE doesn't like it when a wrestler or employee disagrees with the official corporate narrative, even when it's a fabrication or has a distant relationship with the facts. As we've noted before, the shareholder lawsuit could expose the WWE to even more poor publicity if a trial is held and testimony shows that wrestlers were in fact detained. Next up, Vince McMahon kept a close eye on the Rey Mysterio vs Seth match. Fans are getting some behind-the-scenes information on the Eye for an Eye match at Extreme Rules thanks to a report by PW Insider's Mike Johnson. Johnson stated that the match did not air live despite the blurb on the screen and that Vince McMahon was heavily involved in the production of the match, picking out the weapons used by the combatants and of course the finish. After the match, Seth Rollins vomited in disgust after taking out Rey's eye, a segment you can be sure Vince McMahon called for. And despite the rumors that WWE was going to use CGI to show Rey's eye popping out, the promotion chose not to show it for reasons we're about to explain as. Next up, Rey Mysterio's contract status. Now, Rey Mysterio came up on the short end of the stick, more like the wrong end of the ring steps at Extreme Rules, losing an eye in his match with Seth Rollins. Despite Rey's heavy involvement in a top storyline on Raw, he's still working without a contract, as apparently he and the WWE are butting heads over a pay increase. Rey's WWE future and the status of his eyesight in this ridiculous storyline depends on whether or not he chooses to stick with the company. For now, the WWE seems to be leaving things open, as WWE.com released an update on his bad eye, saying medical experts were optimistic that if the optic nerve is not severed and there is not too much strain on the blood vessels and the nerves that connect the eye to the rest of the head, there's a chance Mysterio can maintain his vision. This potential for Rey to keep his eyesight is probably why the WWE didn't use CGI to show it being gouged out. Would you like to see Rey stay in the WWE or go to another promotion such as AEW or Impact Wrestling? Let us know in the comments down below. And finally, Xavier Woods' unusual gift to The Undertaker. The Undertaker has been a locker room leader in the WWE for decades, with part of his role including his unofficial duties as judge for Wrestler's Court. The Phenom discussed what Wrestler's Court is during the WWE Network show Tales from the Dead Man. Wrestler's Court was a light-hearted way to get the message across that you were screwing up. You kinda made your bed, now go and lie in it. Recently, Taker discussed an unusual gift he received from New Day's Xavier Woods. I was kinda blown away really. One day I showed up to TV and lo and behold, Xavier presented me with my official gavel. I was really impressed with that. It meant a lot. I still have the gavel. The Undertaker will likely remain an important figure in the WWE locker room, even as his in-ring career appears to have ended. But there you have it guys, the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, follow us on Facebook and Instagram for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.